Welcome back to part 2 of our topic holding company valuation. So in our last video we have detailed out what is an holding company, what is a subsidiary company, what are the advantages of an holding company and why are holding companies forming such companies so that they benefit from many exemptions of tax and other benefits and liabilities. So, in this session, we will, as explained or as promised in the last session, in this session, we will go with some real case examples, especially in Indian market, and find out how these holding company valuations are beneficial for us from an investor perspective. So, from the last session, again, it would have been really clear for you how the holding company works. So, we know that as the holding company holds stakes in the subsidiary, the profit or loss generated by the subsidiary also comes or reflects in the annual report of the holding company. So the applicable dividends also, whatever is given or given out by the subsidiary company, whatever stakeholders of this holding company in the subsidiary company, that much dividend also comes to the books of the parent company, which is the holding company. In India, there are a number of holding companies those are listed in the stock market, and those a set of companies which a good set of companies which are having this holding company strategy is listed out in my screen. So you can see the holding company name and its subsidiary company related to it. I have not intentionally included its holding percentage since it may vary based on time, so don't want to mislead you on the figure. So if you really want to understand what is the percentage holding of stakes by the holding company in the subsidiary company, you can simply google it out and you can get the percentages easily, or even in the annual reports of various companies. So for an example, now Grasim Industries or else Bombay Burma. So you can go to the annual report in their website where there is a investor session in the website. There you can download the annual report, and in the annual report there will be a session for holding company or subsidiaries. So there will be a tabulation and there will be the percentage stakes or the number of shares been listed out in the tabulation and their valuation. So you can easily identify what are the percentages and how much stakes or how much value of subsidiary company the parent company holds. Here one of my personal liking is Bombay Burma. Note that this is not at all a stock recommendation, but for your knowledge and concept grabbing perspective, I here take this case and will explain some details about it so that you can look into each of the holding companies otherwise listed in my screen and perform your own analysis based on my analysis explained to you on this particular choice of mine, which is the Bombay Burma. And you can even so I personally suggest that you just take all the guidelines and you do your own research so that you are very much clear on what company or in which business you are investing in. So entire value series of mine is just like that, wherein you have to study or you have to learn or grab all the concepts, valuation procedures, and then and even the philosophies, and then you have to apply your own brains into that while selecting a company, so that you are very clear on what is the exact investment rationale behind your stock picking. So coming back to Bombay Burma holds around 50.55% stakes in its well-known subsidiary Britannia Industries. So Britannia Industries, you already know, they are into biscuits, cakes, and other milkshakes, things like that. So it's an FMCG company and a very well-known FMCG company, wherein the revenue is much high consistently. Also, Bombay Burma holds 39.7% in stakes in another subsidiary, which is the Bombay Dyeing. again into clothing. Also, though it is not listed, the Bombay Burma also have stakes in Go Air. So Go Air is again an aviation company which is unlisted. There are chances that they may list soon on the market. So in that case, Bombay Burma holders can expect some stakes in Go Air as well. So, but for our our analysis purpose, I am not considering Bombay Dyeing and Go Air, but only taking the investment rationale in Britannia, which is having 50 plus percentage stakes in the company, and will try to tell you my investment rationale in that. Also, this Bombay Burma, though, like we explained in our last session, that there can be a case wherein the holding company doesn't do any business but simply holds the subsidiary companies, and there can also be a case wherein the holding company also does some business. So that category is Bombay Burma, wherein Bombay Burma runs its own operations in tea, coffee plantations, healthcare, and electromax. So plantations are again great investments of real estate which are having high liquidation value, if not its business value. So yes, they are growing the tea, coffee plantations, but if you see the land value, acquiring price and current price, there can be great value creation there, because these are all tangible assets. So Burma also holds shares of unlisted company that I already told, Go Air, but the profit or earnings of Britannia after dividend distribution and capex goes to the books as reserves of the Britannia itself, and this helps increase the book value, thus increasing the price of Britannia. So I always believe that the price, the earnings, or even the free cash flow, all these things are in almost in parallel to the price increase of the particular stock, if it is a good stock. So in a short term, you can see a lot of fluctuation with price and earnings, but on a longer run, if you see, the price definitely has to follow the revenue and profit of a company. So we are all long-term investors, so let us ignore the short-term fluctuations. And hence this increasing price of Britannia due to the higher profit every year builds value for the Bombay Burma in return also, because it holds 50 or 51% stakes in the subsidiary. So the market cap of the Britannia goes up, so the holding company also gets benefited because of the increase in net worth. Also, the dividends of 51% stakes goes to the books of Bombay Burma, as I told above. And Burma is not a great, though Burma is not a great dividend distributor, but the dividend goes back to the books, growing its asset base and hence the price. So it is not necessary that dividend should be given to you every quarter or yearly, which are actually non-tax efficient. So I would always prefer that if the company can grow its business, reinvesting it, or let its book value increase and hence the price catches up to its book value, it will also create long-term wealth for you. So today, if you see the market capitalization of Bombay Burma is around 8123 crore, 8123 crore, and that of Britannia alone is around 87,608 crore. So if you take the 50.55%, which is actually, like if you remember my last video, which is actually controlling stake, since 50 plus percentage stake holding implies that you have a controlling stake in the subsidiary. So if you take this 50.55% of Britannia, which is 50.55% of 87,608, is around 44.286 crore, 44.286 odd crore. So 81.23 is just around 18% odd percentage of 44,286 crore of its subsidiary company. So that is where a discount, we call a discount, comes in. Because if you see the market capitalization of Britannia, Bombay BBTC is just 8123 crore, and the subsidiary market capitalization, in which 50% plus stakes are held by the BBTC, is 87,608 crore. So if you multiply 50% with 87,608 crore, it is like 44,286 crore. So you can just compare, I'm ignoring all other businesses and other subsidiaries and just taking Britannia. So 44,000 odd crore versus 8,000 crore. So that is the difference we are talking about. So that's almost a discount of around, I would say, 82%. So that is just a ratio of both the figures. So if you add the stakes like that of Bombay Burma and GoAir, you will get a further discount, but we'll ignore that for now, since that would further complicate the analysis. Since those businesses are not as performing as that of Britannia also, there is a rationale, that is my rationale, that I am ignoring them. Now see this math. Last year profit, that is the profit after tax for Britannia, was around 1393 crore. And this year, March ending, was around 1849 crore. So it's around a 25% odd increase in the profit percentage. Now, like again, I would like you to remember about our margin of safety video. So I'll again take a margin of safety here, and now let's consider a conservative CAGR figure of say 15%. I'm taking a 10% direct cut on 25%. So even so we would have taken 25%, but always there should be some margin of safety, so something can happen, some pandemic can go, third wave can come, there can be some new competitor coming in, so the prices can go low, so revenues can go, maybe the PAT can go low if not revenue. So that things we have to account. So I am considering for calculation purpose or discussion purpose 15% here. So we all know that this Britannia, how well the business is, and also the earnings growth, like I already told you, it is around 25% year on year for this year. So the price of Britannia also is supposed to go in that same increase of earnings, which is 25%. So the market cap also will definitely go in that same ratio, because price being just the market capitalization. Basically, price into shares outstanding will give you the market capitalization. So so in the screen you can see, if I take this current market capitalization of holding company, I have written that 8123 crore, 50%, 51% subsidiary holding, discount is 82%. So subsidiary company current capitalization, market capitalization is 87,000 odd crore. Now if you consider it just a 10% discount reduction, like 82% discount becomes 72% discount. So you just see what is the difference in the holding company valuation. So if you consider a CAGR of 15% for next 3 years, so the Britannia market capitalization of 87,000 odd crore will become 1,24,000 odd crore. So to be precise, 1,24,738 crore. But so that is just an increase of 42% over the 3 years. But if you see in Bombay Burma, because of the holding company fashion and also the discount rate of 10% we applied, 8,000 odd crore has become 17,655 crore. So that is an increase of around 117 percentage against just a subsidiary increase of 42 percentage. So this is how you create value for a company from the valuation perspective. So this is the beauty of a holding company. So this is a hidden, I would say it's a hidden secret for a holding company, or many are not aware of this. So if you are bullish on the subsidiary company and is looking for holding that company, and if that is highly having a higher valuation, for example Britannia, so you have to discount that, you have to consider the discount and consider the Britannia shares. To buy the Britannia shares, you can directly buy in Bombay Burma as well. So that is how the holding percentage is calculated and the discounts are derived and the increase in percentage is estimated. Now the main reason for this discount or undervaluation in holding company, which obviously you should be thinking now, is as follows. Because otherwise you would be thinking that everyone can directly buy this and they can make lot of money in this. But the major, I would say 3 points which I have identified is, firstly, the holding companies are normally valued based on its liquidation value of its investments, as explained earlier. But that is something which cannot be realized practically, as the holding company will rarely sell off its investment in its subsidiary or group companies. Hence, market value of such holding companies are considered by many as theoretical than practical. Another aspect is, if at all the investments are sold off, the capital gain tax has to be deducted, which will effectively reduce the actual in hand value. Like if Bombay Burma is completely selling off the Britannia, then that much percentage, that much value will reduce. So means the capital gain taxes will go off in that, and that much whatever valuation or undervaluation we are considering here, that will slightly or to some percentage it will cut off, because that much tax has to be paid. So discount may not be this high. Also, normally holding companies with lower outside equity and greater controlling stakes over subsidiary companies tend to quote at a lower discount to its investment value, since the stakes of promoter remains fixed and only rest is traded by the investors in the market. So liquidity basically normally tend to be lesser in the holding companies, but the trading normally happens in the subsidiary companies. So that is one point. That is the last point. So one important thing that is that we also have to see how dividends from the subsidiaries are utilized by the holding companies. What are they doing with that earnings? Are they reinvesting it? Are they utilizing it for some business development, or is it utilized for some undesirable things like tax benefits and all? So it has to be put to use to good value creation. So that is very important for a holding company. So you have to analyze that in the balance sheet. So holding companies will have a slower and steady growth, but not a multi-bagger, because of the above things. If you are really positive on the subsidiary company and that you want to own the subsidiary, not the subsidiary at a discount and at a cheaper valuation, these holding companies are best investments for sure, as per me. Another important but widely known fact of a holding company is that they have some unlisted subsidiaries or even holdings of other unlisted companies. So they might have bought long back, say even 50 years back. So they are not listed, and their valuation on the books or annual report will be the acquired value years back. So the valuation would have increased over the years, but the acquiring value will only be mentioned in the annual report as per accounting practice. So it is a huge undervaluation. So the actual valuation on the present date would be multifold. It can be multifold. To state a classic example, company Tata Chemicals holds around 10237, like 10,000 odd numbers of shares in Tata Sons, which is stated as around 56.86 crores in the annual report, but is actually, to the current date, if you see, it is around 2.5% holding of Tata Sons net worth. So 56.86 odd crore is basically its acquiring price years back, as I told above. But if you see the current estimated valuation of Tata Sons, which is an unlisted entity, is approximately 5.08 trillion, and then this 2.5% of Tata Sons is thus computed as around 12,700 crore. Yes, a whopping 12,700 crore. So that the Tata Chemical market capitalization, if you see, it is only around 21,500 odd crore, and its only stake in Tata Sons, if you see, that is again around 12,700 crore. So that is how discounts are, and in the books it is only mentioned as around 58 odd crore. So Tata Chemical has holding in its own group companies, other group companies like Tata Steel, Titan, Tata Investors, then Rallis India, or Orient Hotels, etc. So if you sum up all the valuations of those companies, then it is not an exact figure, but as per me, it is something around 23,000 crore, which in itself is, which in the books it is quoted at just around, I think, 2,400 crore only, because many are unlisted and many are mentioned as its acquiring price. So that's how we find out bargain stocks with potential subsidiary holdings or stock holdings. Skill remains with us to identify those and apply our brains to make an investment rational. Happy investing.